If doing the balsa portions of this build was the most time-consuming part, and doing the stonework was one of the simpler parts, then this video is going to be the messiest part. This time I'm doing plaster on the buildings and in between the stones for the chimney and the shop floor. But to start off, I need to make another little piece of balsa to go on top of the small wall, get that stained, and then work on filling up the test piece that I made at the beginning of the stone video. As I fill that up, there are a few reasons why I'm calling this the messiest step. Firstly, there's a lot of mixing things with water and then getting them to not run off the edge of the material it's being poured onto. That didn't always work out too well. There were a few times that I didn't create enough of a dam to stop it from running off the edge, or it found a way around things that should have held it in there. And you'll see what comes of that a little bit later in the video. But now that I've filled up the test piece, let's start with the back of the house and the bridge piece between the house and the blacksmith shop. I'm still not gluing the bridge piece to the side of the blacksmith shop because I want its roof to be able to come off. The second reason that this is the messiest video is that I've never used plaster to make things before. So I wasn't 100% sure what the consistency really needed to be. It was kind of hard to tell from the video tutorial that I was following. So I kind of winged it. And sometimes it was too gloopy, then I added in too much and I made it too runny. I think I got a really decent consistency once, and I wasn't really able to replicate it correctly again. I want to start on the front of the shop and the side of the house towards the blacksmith shop. And also, we'll do a side of the shed because I have enough in the bucket for it. And if you're looking at the equipment that I'm using, that's kind of the final reason for it being such a messy step. Using 2 Dixie cups to measure out both the plaster powder and water, and eyeballing it was probably a bad idea. I also didn't need 2.5 quart containers for mixing it all up. I could have just gone with a slightly smaller 1 quart bucket, and they would have been fine for this project instead. And using a plastic spoon may not have been the best way to put it into the diorama. Like, it worked, but I could have found a better way to probably do it. Maybe something with a bit more of a tip that could have worked better for certain areas. But in the end, it all kind of worked out. After I finished the front of the shop, the side of the house, and one side of the shed, I decided to finish up the rest of the house. The side above the shed, the other side of the shed, and the front of the house were all done at the same time. Then I tried doing the wall around the shed, but it didn't turn out too well because the plaster was getting gloopy at the time. So I had to try again later, and it turned out a little bit better. Not 100% better, but a little bit better. As a bit of a quick aside, if you've made it this far in the video, please consider doing all the algorithm things. Hitting that like button, subscribing, and leaving a comment. But what should you comment about? What is the call to action in this video? I want to know what style of videos you like. Do you like the montage type videos like what I did with the stone step in the last video for this project? Or do you like videos more like this one where I kind of share my thoughts on what I'm doing and how I'm going through the process? I really want to know what style you like. Now then, after redoing those 2 sections above the shed, it's blacksmith shop time. I started with the long wall and the chimney right next to it, and I kind of made a big mistake when it comes to filming. I didn't lift the camera up enough, so we don't really have footage of that. But I did correct that after, and then after that I went to the back of the chimney and did the stonework there, as well as the short wall, with a bit of a running batch of plaster. There was far too much water in it. You can kind of see it pooling up on my cutting mat down below. Once that was done, I worked on the interior long wall, doing the plaster on the wood there and the plaster around the stone there, and the chimney that was next to the small wall, because the thing was on its side, so might as well do it there. After that, I worked on the front of the chimney and the interior of the small wall. And to finish up, then finally, I worked on the flagstones on the floor of the shop, and then I went back to the house and I worked on the upper floor on the sides of the windows for the sloped roof as my own extra little touch, because that's not actually in the tutorials. Normally, I can pick out a favorite part that I worked on when it comes to these videos, like just from that section of work. But I'm not sure I have a favorite section here, because looking at it now, it's really messy. There's a lot of stuff that there's too much plaster in places. It's got really weird texturing sometimes. It's just, I don't think it looks all that good. And I think I'm going to have to clean up some stuff once I get to like the painting step or a further step in the future just to make it look a bit better. But to end this video, we've got the sexy shots of the kind of ugly finished plaster step. Next video, I'll be working on the ground cover, which is also a bit messy, but less so than this step. And I may make a little bit too much of it, so we're going to be doing some little side things. I hope to see you in that video, and I hope that you have a royal day. Now it's time for those sexy, ugly shots.